Some might know the stat that it's harder to get on Shark Tank than it is to get to Harvard. The producers told me, they said, whatever you do, when you go on there, do not take no for an answer. Fight. And I think as entrepreneurs, it was really good that they reminded me of that. They planted a seed. When I got in front of those lights and the sharks were starting to come at us, oh yeah, I forgot there was a camera. I forgot there was anyone there. I just knew I had to fight for my community. I had to fight for our business. I had to fight for Kreyòl Essence.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Smart Marketer Podcast. I am Zach Dampier, the content coordinator here at Smart Marketer, and we have a very special guest here live in Denver in the first floor of the Art Museum, and we are so excited to be able to talk to you. Go ahead and give everybody an introduction.
Sure. My name is Yve-Car. I am the founder of Kreyòl Essence, and also known as Evie. Kreyòl Essence, we make organic and natural beauty products with ingredients from Haiti, and we've also incorporated biotech ingredients to help those with thinning hair and those with dry hair and scalp.
That's awesome. And she was one of our roundtable experts this year. So how was that? We just finished up our second one. We finally got our wind after lunch, and now we're back doing this pod. So
it was actually really motivating for me. You would think that speaking to entrepreneurs about all the things that keep them up at night are draining, but that's when I get activated. And I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're more motivated to solve other people's problems more than we are to solve our own. So I really enjoyed hearing everyone's thought process, their innovations, and being able to provide some experience or some helpful tidbit based on the pain and agony that I have gone through as an entrepreneur for over 12 years.
Yeah, and it's so helpful hearing from other people because a lot of times you just get so locked in and so close to what you're seeing that you don't even realize the solution that if you just zoom out is actually pretty simple and you just can't get your brain there. So it's always good to be able to bounce ideas off somebody else.
Indeed. Were you reading my Instagram? Because that's exactly what I wrote, okay?
I wasn't, but we're just connected.
We're just right connected.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So tell the people a little bit about how you kind of got introduced to Smart Marketer, Ezra, Molly, how this kind of came to be and how we ended up getting to be blessed with your presence.
Well, one, I am sad that I am just learning about Smart Marketer as of last year, because I feel like my business would have probably been 10 times bigger had I known about you all when I first started in 2014. So I was speaking at a conference in Miami, another major tech conference, and Ezra and I were in the green room, and he was like, I like you. And I was like, I like you. You're Ezra. And he said, you need to come and speak at one of my conferences. And this was for Blue Ribbon. And he's like, it's the last one. And I went and I was like, this can't be the last one. Because even though I was a speaker and I was talking about, branding, marketing, being on Shark Tank, taking an obscure product from a country people don't know a lot about as Haiti, and making sure that it goes into international retail and becomes a phenomenon and a trend. But here I was writing copious notes. And to your point, sometimes you are so maniacally focused and heads down in your business, but you need another entrepreneur to say to you, hey, have you thought of, perhaps trying TikTok? Hey, have you thought about maybe not trying new channels and really doubling down? And what I loved about the interaction with those in the smart marketer space is that there was a sense of your information is safe, but also we weren't going to be here just to talk and make ourselves feel good. We were going to show our Shopify. We were going to pull up the Meta dashboards, and we were really going to show, here's what I did and how I achieved it. And I want you to win in that same way. And from there, I was like, Ezra, Molly, anything you guys need, I am here. So I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited that I got to speak and hopefully add some value to other entrepreneurs. But I also learned a lot, especially coming from a sabbatical after 90 days. I came back and I was like, oh my God, Meta has new things.
Yeah.
I cannot
Worst
believe
timing,
this.
yeah.
Worst timing. Jeez.
That's so funny that's how your roundtable went, because I actually had basically the exact same conversations, but based around organic social media. And a lot of people were just like, what works? Like, what gets people to engage? And I was like, the more transparent you are and the more genuine you are and allow people to see the human and not the brand, the more they will relate to you, because they'll buy products.
Yeah.
They're fans of people. So even if Smart Marketer is a brand, people don't come back over and over because of the 3-circle logo. They come back because of Ezra. They come back because of Molly. And now we have Pep and Ben and all the agency people getting up on stage and absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, our best performing carousels in the last 90 days or so have been our team stories. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but we've done—
I haven't seen them
So
yet.
we've done spotlights on our team, and almost every single one of them, one of our team members was joking with me that a lot of their friends were giving them a hard time, that it makes us all look like we're just losers, because most of them start with some kind of setback or negative thing, and then showcases the growth. Like, it started with Ben Bennett. He became hired on as a media buyer, a junior media buyer. And I always say he's self-proclaimed, I would never call him this, the worst media buyer in the world. But what our team realized is he is such a creative mind.
Right.
And so they realized they were trying to fit that square peg into a round hole. And instead of doing that, they just chiseled out the square for it to fit into and gave him access to a whole creative department, and he's flourished. So like, he's one of them. Paul that you just met, he's done everything from working security at the Today Show, meeting Taylor Swift before she blew up, working haunted houses, and all throughout it, he's just learned how to foster community and connection, and that's what he does through his community management position, along with all of the AV stuff he does. I was a college athlete. All of my worth was really tied into the sport that I played. And so when that time disappeared, I really struggled with, like, first losing that team connection, because I was always so reliant on the external motivation of not wanting to let anybody else down and getting that team success. And so finding a way to repurpose and find that here, and especially with the camera in my hand, because I was a quarterback. So a lot of people think that, like, oh, you're the star, you want all the attention. I really enjoyed getting the ball to my friends and letting them go make the big plays, and they're the ones running in the end zone. And so I feel like I'm in a very similar position now, that, like, I control where this attention goes, and I want to make sure that I put it to the people that I care about, and just make sure that they get the shine that they deserve, because they all work so hard. They're all so intelligent. So who am I if I don't make sure that they get the recognition that they deserve?
Amen to that. I'm like, all right. I think you hit on something important, and it's often that we discount our experience, we minimize it, and we say it has no bearing in our business. There was an executive assistant at one of my roundtables, and she said, look, I'm just an executive assistant. And the first thing I told her is, never introduce yourself as just an executive assistant. I'm a CEO now. You know, we've had over $50 million in lifetime sales. We've been on Shark Tank. We've done all that. But what was my first job? Executive assistant. And if you were to ask me what has been the foundation to be able to structure things, to be able to manage multiple departments, to be able to run a cross-border business that's vertically integrated, that does everything from farming, production, export, manufacturing, e-commerce, and retail distribution, it's because of those skills I learned as an executive assistant that really taught me how to handle pressure, that taught me how to, I don't like the word multitask, but how to ensure multiple things can go in the correct way and find synergies. So our life experience is often so important, and it's often the thing that our customers, our tribe, which is what I call our customers at Kreyòl Essence, want to know about, so that they can relate to us and know that we're real people. And I think there's a magic when we take business concepts and merge that with our real life experience and really create innovation and create something that people want to be a part of. Because like you said, I don't come here just to learn about, marketing, but I love catching up with folks and understanding, well, what's going on with your kid?
Absolutely.
What's going on in your life? Where are we taking the next vacation? And I think you need that, because entrepreneurship by nature can be a lonely sport, but you do win more if you have a team, and the team has to go beyond just your staff and the immediate people that you think about. Especially if you're a CEO, you're a founder, if you're leading departments, you need like-minded people who speak the same language as you and who also understand your pain so that they can commiserate, but also remind you, and it's something Ezra said, it's not that serious. It's like, we're gonna be okay. Someone has probably gone through this and worse. You just need to vocalize it, and someone has a prospect answer for you.
Definitely. And with the networking and like connections and being around the people, what's funny is every time we get somebody down here for a testimonial, it's like the best thing about this event is the people. Like, I learn more between the sessions than during. I'm like, guys, we can still, like, I understand what you're saying, but it also sounds like the speakers aren't doing a good job. They're doing great.
No,
Like
they're
I
doing
understand,
amazing.
I
They're doing
understand there is
amazing.
so much going on between, but it's just so funny that people get here and the community just engulfs them. Like people that have never been around, they just feel how different it is automatically and
Oh, yeah.
feel the genuine connection that these people have and that we feel for our students, and that it's so much different from the transactional feeling of most
Exactly.
marketing conferences of what can I learn from you? How can your position benefit me? Let's trade LinkedIn's. That like it's just you genuinely care about the person and not
Yes.
their title and company.
Exactly. And I one, shout out to the speakers, because getting prepared to speak in front of smart marketers with these amazing group, there was $1.2 billion in revenue sitting in the room.
Insane.
So that means these aren't dumb people sitting there. You know, these are folks who know a few things. And I think the preparation is top notch, and they are actionable items that you can go home, go to your team. Like I was sending my team a lot of the presentations and I was like, you need this. Let's talk about this when you get back. And I think even though, you know, we talk a lot about the community, I don't want to overshadow the fact that you do learn a lot of actionable steps that you can incorporate into all facets of your business. And I love that today we not only talked about e-com, but there was also the discussion about how e-com can impact retail. And because I'm both in e-com and retail, I was like, yes, to be able to have some nuggets around how to propel two lines of business.
Definitely. And speaking of those strategies, what would be kind of the major takeaway that you were kind of dropping today that you would want anybody that was listening to really be able to pick up on and run with?
So mostly people probably have said this, but I'm going to reiterate it, especially as an entrepreneur for 12 years, where you can get set in your ways as to what you do and what you know. But I had someone at my round table, a copywriter actually, and she was talking about how she works with other entrepreneurs to tell their story, to make sure that their mission comes to life. That's a beautiful notion and a beautiful role, and copywriters are needed. But on Sunday, I had a working session with another entrepreneur, and we were brainstorming, and I was saying, you know, my team is not really getting our new narrative. You know, everyone knows us for creating Haitian Black Castor Oil or Moringa oil and products for hair care, and very much is about the social mission, the impact, and the natural benefits of the product. But I'm like, but now we've just introduced a biotech ingredient. How do we weave in the fact that we're taking science, merging it with the cultural ingredient, and showing people that it's still natural, it's still beneficial for your hair growth, for your eczema, and for your psoriasis? And then he said, can you pull out your laptop? And then he's like, let's start talking to AI. I was like, we're going to talk to AI. And he starts putting in, he put in 1 or 2 prompts. By the time he was done in 5 minutes, he had a deck for me. He had a podcast done. He had, you know, sound bites, articles, listicles, all of this, which would have taken my team months to create. And AI was able to pull out the core parts that I wanted to talk about, which is how we've evolved as a brand after 10 to 12 years, with including science-backed ingredients. So the big takeaway from that is AI is here to stay. We all have to figure out how it is part of our company. And part of what I was saying to the writer is that you're not going to be obsolete as long as you become the person who understands what prompts need to go into AI to help tell a story for a brand. And I think that's something that we all have to wrap our mind around. One entrepreneur stated that they have dedicated 30 to 45 minutes a day to make sure that they're learning something new about AI because it's changing so rapidly. But if we look at the curve of adoption, as well as how quickly things are changing, it's, you know, what took 2 years, 5 years, 10 years for Instagram and Facebook, it's happening in 1 year or less in AI. So the brands and the businesses who don't jump on it now and really commit to ensuring that they understand it, you're going to get left behind and quickly. So that's one of the major takeaways that was confirmed, not only from my experience on Sunday, but I heard it throughout every presentation. And I left thinking like, oh my God, I have something new to learn now. But knowing that there's a community that I can learn with, and that there are some cheat sheets about how to, you know, cut through the noise and get to the skills that I need for the business and for the people who count on me. That is the biggest takeaway I have from today.
I'll say that's probably going to be your number one answer for this next question. So I want the second biggest mistake that you see business owners make that you want to see fixed.
That is related. I will say that the first thing in our roundtable that occurred is that, you have a bunch of entrepreneurs. So we are naturally optimistic, like, yes, we can. So, I made a statement to the copywriter and someone was like, but don't worry, you'll be okay because AI could never replace a person. I said, honey, Sunday, I'm replacing maybe a few folks from my team who are underperforming. And that's the truth. We are replaceable if we do not go ahead with the times. So as optimistic as we want to be, we do have skills that cannot be replaced, but don't feed into your own hype. Mm-hmm. What you did 5 years ago, what you did 10 years ago, it matters, but also what you do the next 5 years it's critical. So it's important that we have adaptability, that we're able to make changes. And a lot of that does come from mindset. And I think that's the other thing I would say is as entrepreneurs, we sometimes forget that mindset is a critical factor into how we perform on the field, how we perform when it comes to business. One of my favorite books is, I think it's $1 Trillion Coach. And it was the first time I really understood why the philosophy of having a business coach, of having mentors is important. If we look at some of the most amazing athletes in the world, they all have multiple coaches for multiple things. So why is it that when it gets to business or even life, we think we've got to do it on our own? So a new entrepreneur who's a seasoned exec who helps entrepreneurs scale, who is now transitioning to being a founder. And I think she's smart because she's saying, I've helped all these people build multi-million-dollar businesses. It feels a little different when I have to do it for myself. And one of my advice to her was get a coach and get a therapist, because your mindset is going to determine how you deal with obstacles, how you adapt to change that's happening all the time and where you have to learn, and how you deal with life circumstances that come as an entrepreneur. So that's the other thing I would say is mindset.
That's awesome. So let's take a little step back, less tactical, more overview, especially as somebody like fairly new to Smart Marketer and the way that we operate. How would you say you've seen the e-com marketing kind of ecosystem adapt and change throughout the years as there has been more inclusion, more diversity within the community, both gender and ethnicity, and just seeing how it has kind of grown and been more of a all-encompassing environment where people can see themselves within the speakers on a guest list?
I love it. I will say that, so I've been in business, I think I said 12 years, and the e-com space, unbeknownst to me, was generally a white boy space. Like that was it. And I had to learn a lot of things myself. So in meeting someone like Ezra, who's like, oh no, you need to come and speak. And I think there's an understanding that people have to know that there are others who look like them in a space so that they don't feel intimidated and so that they know that they belong. So I am excited by seeing diversity become one of the cornerstones in all industries, including, e-commerce. And when it comes to women, 90% of the buyers are women. So it makes no sense that we wouldn't have women in the e-com space. And I love that that's being celebrated, that's being showcased. And when you have organizations like Smart Marketer who are willing to make sure that they provide a light and a spotlight for folks, that helps with the inclusion and it helps to change, this sentiment folks had around those in e-commerce. It's not just a bunch of white boys getting filthy rich and getting drunk. I mean, we like to drink too, but I think we are all able to come together and see that we have more in common than less.
Absolutely.
And we're all here to change communities and to make money and change our lives in the process.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing that I also touched on in the roundtable with the organic social. I was like, guys, I promise, please make sure that anybody can see themselves in your product photos. I was like, I understand if you are in a very siloed community where everybody looks like you, but don't let a potential customer never see somebody that looks like them in your products, in your social media, because you are just, one, you're just losing money. So from a financial, it doesn't make sense, but also just for everything, like every other ethical reason, like it feels better to include than to exclude. So why would you not, especially when there's financial gain also involved in it?
I think you make a good point. So in my previous life, before being an entrepreneur, I was part of alumni affairs and I was the director of diversity at Cornell University. And one of my first pitches to the trustees was the business case for diversity. It wasn't about just the moral imperative, but it's that, hey, 50% of your demographic of your students are going to change. Those $1 billion that you bring in from alumni, if they all hate you, you're not going to get it. So how do we make sure that the students today, who are the future of tomorrow, they are the buyers, are going to be the ones who feel an affinity to us? And I think if we're, as marketers, we know demographics, we know stats. 2050, it's going to be a minority majority. So we got to get on that to make sure that folks feel like they are part of things. And also, like when people ask me, what's the demographic of my customers, they're often surprised that 50% are not Black. Mm-hmm. And the idea is like, oh, you're a Black woman, so your hair care and skincare are only for Black folks. And I'm like, no, I'm focused on what is it that I'm solving? What's the problem and who's experiencing it? So when a mom loses her hair due to postpartum, is she Black or white?
Right.
She's both. And she's Latina. She's just a woman who just had this experience. So the ability to speak and have a multilingual approach to things, which is what I call it, is important. And multilingual is really how you signal things, your photos, your language. So for instance, in hair care, edges is for a Black woman, hairline is for someone who's not of color. We use both in our marketing and make sure to target and set up your meta ads based on your avatars with that in mind. And it's good for society, but it's also good for business.
Definitely. What would be something that you think really motivates you in your business? Obviously, I'm sure that that's a good part of it that we just talked about, but kind of, sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's hard to wake up every day and just type on a computer. I don't know if you work from home, but I know a lot of us do, and it's hard to feel like you're not really building anything because it's all so abstract. So like what really motivates you and keeps you going?
That's a really good question. And something I've been asking myself a lot as, we're no longer 1 year in. And for me, my North Star continues to be poverty alleviation. And again, you hear a lot about beauty, you'll hear Kreyòl Essence, and, we've won awards for our products. But for me, it's about the people making the products. It's those, women in Haiti that this is their lifeline and there is no other job for them. When I ask them, why are you coming to work for Kreyòl Essence? You could be in the marketplace selling for yourself. You could be an entrepreneur. And they're like, do you know how hard it is to be an entrepreneur? You've opened up markets in a language and in a place that we don't have a connection to. So you're doing us a favor by doing this. And if anything, when I used to go to Haiti a lot, they'd be like, why are you here? They're like, go sell something in the US, because then, those women are able to feed their kids. They're able to go to the doctor. A lot of the social problems that we're trying to solve, healthcare, education, all of it can be reduced if people have jobs. And I think about it that if I could do it in Haiti, along with my business partner, Stefan, and create a roadmap for poverty alleviation through capitalism, through e-commerce, through CPG, consumer product goods, through selling things, what could we do right here in Denver?
Right.
What could we do, right in Miami, where it's home base in the US? So, and what can we do internationally to make sure that the world is a better place for our kids, my nieces and nephews who are coming up tomorrow? And that North Star keeps me going. Lastly, to your point about making sure someone sees themselves, one of the biggest compliments I had, I was on a panel in Haiti. And in Haiti, you might think that most people look like me working there, but it's international development, so most folks are white. So I'm on the panel, I'm talking, I'm joking, I'm a bit of a jokester. And afterwards, this young girl comes up to me and she's like, I have this business idea. And she's like, you know what? I just wanted to tell you, I'm going to make it happen. And I was like, of course you are. And she's like, no, but you don't understand. I'm going to make it happen because I just saw you on the stage comfortably joking and talking with everyone, and you look just like me. So now I know I'm going to do it. So thank you. And I could have cried right at that moment. I was like, sure, it's great to get awards and accolades. It's great to be on Shark Tank and, have that there. But for that little girl, for me just being me on the stage and being myself, to say, I just saw you, so now I know I'm going to go crush it and kill it. That's the biggest, reason to get up, to deal with all the meta changes, to deal with learning TikTok, and to deal with what comes with being a business owner and entrepreneur, because it's for a larger purpose more than just myself.
I'm sure a lot of people's ears just perked up when you mentioned Shark Tank. So can we get like a
Sure.
brief little recap of how that went down? Because I know most entrepreneurs probably have always wondered what that experience is like.
It is super cool, but it's a lot of freaking work. I didn't know this, and probably like most parts of my entrepreneurial journey, it's better that I didn't know what I was walking into. But it's a year-long process. And some might know the stat that it's harder to get on Shark Tank than it is to get to Harvard. I don't know why that is, but after filling out my application, I thought for sure, okay, we're going to be in. And they're like, you need to send a video. And I'm like, but you just met me. I already did my pitch. They're like, there are multiple layers who need to approve this. And I think it took 4 months before we finally knew we were going to be possibly on the show. And you start meeting with producers every other week. So essentially it becomes another job. And sometimes we have to remind our producers, we are running a business here and we're coming to you guys to get help and cash, but you're taking a lot of our time. But it was worth it because it helped us refine our storytelling abilities. Now, when you go into Shark Tank, you think there's someone coaching you? No. The only thing the producers work with you on is the first minute of your like, hi sharks, I'm Yve-Car Momperousse. And after that, you have to prep yourself for all the questions that you anticipate that the sharks are going to ask you. Now, I'm a girl who likes to do research. So I called every entrepreneur I could who I knew had been on Shark Tank or a friend who knew a friend to ask about their experience. The second thing I did, I was already a Shark Tank watcher and lover. I watched copious amounts of Shark Tank, like insane amounts. And because you have to do your research and we needed to figure out, well, which one of the sharks did we want? Don't ask me which shark I got, or if I didn't get, you're going to have to watch season 11, episode 11 with Kreyòl Essence. I had to understand, well, how do each of the sharks think? So we got prepped. We're in LA for the taping, and we were supposed to have a call time of, 1 p.m. At like 6 a.m. They're like, oh, we've had some changes. You got to be ready now. So that was almost a heart attack. But one thing the producers told me is they said, whatever you do, when you go on there, do not take no for an answer. Fight. And I think as entrepreneurs, it was really good that they reminded me of that. They planted a seed. It was really early. I hadn't had coffee. I wasn't really paying attention to them. But when I got in front of those lights and the sharks were starting to come at us, oh yeah, I forgot there was a camera. I forgot there was anyone there. I just knew I had to fight for my community. I had to fight for our business. I had to fight for Kreyòl Essence. And it turned out to be one of the best experiences and ads for us because we went in looking for working capital, but what we got was something that really captured who we are and something we talk a lot about here at Smart Marketer is tell your story and lead with a story. And that is a testament to what happens when people can connect with you in different ways. It's still one of our best running ads. And when you look at the comments, because all marketers should be looking at the comments, it's about, I can relate to you. My mom was a small entrepreneur. I'm about to start a business. So I could feel the pain, the angst, the ability to give all to your business. You look just like me. So those comments, it wasn't about how well I articulated our business case. I did that well though. But it was more about the relatability so that folks could be like, I want to support this business. Let me buy the Haitian Castor Oil or the shampoo or conditioner. And then after that, it was like, oh, this really works. I'm going to stick to it. So I'm really grateful for the experience. And yeah, it was dramatic. So go watch Kreyòl Essence, season 11, episode 11.
That's amazing. And I don't think there's anything else that I could ask that could put a better bow on this episode than right now. So with that, thank you for your time. I'm so glad you were able to come here in Denver and we were finally able to get this recorded. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I love you guys. Thank you for what you do.
Of course. Thank you for the listeners. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.